Hi there, gang. Vegematic here again. Actually, doing the Vegematic Deluxe show. I have to somehow up my game a little because I've taken on the name Deluxe now, so that it comes with a certain amount of responsibility. I've never been good at responsible behavior in my life, which is probably a good thing in some ways, but negative in another. However, this week I felt like, okay, what am I going to do this week? And it's hard to keep thinking of what you're going to talk to yourself about every week. So rather than recite a litany of all the things that are terrible and wrong with this world, how about we all get together, and if we think real hard, we can make things get better. Never seems to work out that way, though, does it? We've got the, of course, usual litany of horror going on the planet, but in some ways we can sit back and watch the horror without participating in it. And that somehow seems unfair, and particularly unfair to the people that have nothing to do with the horror that is imposed on them by these unjust, unfair systems of oppression run by the scum. Let's face it, the slime, the gooey stuff on the bottom of your foot when you step in something. Yeah, well, maybe I'm being a little too harsh. I don't think so, though. When I look around the world and I see how people can take this planet and make it a living hell, is that something inherently wrong inside us humans? Is it part of our human nature to be selfish, to be constantly striving? Is it part of what we are as a species? We come up with certain words to describe humans, like humane. Yes, we humanely run our slaughterhouses. I'm sure it's humane. So is that because you're humanely dispatching of fellow earth creatures, you're really being humane? Humane, that is kind of weird, humanist. We say, oh, he was a great humanist. Well, what does that mean, to be a humanist? I guess it means to accept the good with the bad, the minute amount of good that people have in them with the enormous, giant bad. Well, these questions haunt me and have haunted me throughout my life. What is it inside of humans that makes them want to kill each other, that makes them want to steal their land, and that creates these complex systems that rely on death to survive, becoming a inglorious monster, crushing everything in sight, poisoning everything? Why is it that on the one hand, humans are capable of creating great things, works of art, of doing noble things, righteous things? It's quite obvious that money, fame, glory, whatever that is, really don't create a happy life. One only has to look at some rock stars that died at the top of their game and worth all kinds of money and had adulation, all the sex they wanted, everything, and yet they off themselves. And this is because when you pour all of yourself into that false self, that thing that is called ego, it can be crushing to you. The smallest things can crush you. Well, infants are all narcissists, and they can't see beyond themselves. But some humans never outgrow that grasping stage and never come to realize the effects that they might be having on other people, the pain that they're causing. Or maybe the pain is the purpose. Isn't it amazing that some people can become sexually excited by sadism, hurting, creating pain? To my way of thinking, this is somebody who has never developed themselves spiritually. Oh, they may have tons of material possessions. They may have look in the mirror and congratulate themselves on all the wondrous deeds they've accomplished in their life. But they never learn to get beyond that infantile grasping stage, and therefore never learn to become fully human. Have you ever been in a place in your life where you're totally helpless? Where your ego is necessarily dissolved? Where you lose your dignity, your sense of self? I think having an experience like this, and I went through something like this when I went into medical distress and spent more time than I care to being helpless. You can't dress yourself, you can't do anything except lie there and hope that the people looking after you are compassionate enough to have pity on you. It's hard to maintain a sense of ego after an experience like that, when all your dignity is stripped away and you're helpless. It's hard to not realize that we're like fireflies that light up for an instant and then are gone. And maybe that's all that life is supposed to be. Maybe all life is inherently creating and destroying at the same time. And what we create destroys. What we create destroys ourselves. We're drawn like a moth to the flame. Are you ever struck by just how insignificant you are? We all are. If you can think of the billions of souls on the planet and how completely infinitesimal each of us is, and yet we have this desire to somehow feel unique. Of course, we are unique individually. In many ways, we're the same, though. We share the same basic biology. We share the largest brain, although, as my mom used to say, bigger isn't always better. However, we form ourselves into complex societies. We join whatever tribe suits us. But basically, aren't we all just like ants running around? Unless there's something more, that this universe is so vast that we can't comprehend. And our part in it, whatever that is essential to the mathematical precision of the universe unfolding. It's like a fine watch. If you're missing one little cog of the gear, it won't run. So I didn't have a long list of things to complain about and whine about and bitch about tonight. But sometimes I'm not in the mood for that, and I think more in terms of the big picture. What does it all mean? I guess we're going to find out. And that's the beauty of life, isn't it? We're searching for the meaning. And ultimately there might not be a meaning, and that might just be the meaning that there is no meaning. You know what I'm saying? No? That's okay. Thanks everybody. Love you all. And until next time, this is the Vegematic Deluxe Show. The sub-basement of the internet. Still hanging around, still hanging in there. By a thread, but still in there. So, leave your comments. I love comments. I just love going the next day and reading them all and answering them. Otherwise, what's the point in doing this? So leave a comment. make an old man happy. All right. Thank you. Thanks for listening. And we'll see you next week, hopefully. Until then, just keep living. Keep experiencing things. Don't bother dreaming. Dreams just aren't real.